Hello, everybody. Hello, YouTube. Hello, art history enthusiasts and visual culture aficionados. It's me again, Miss M, and I'm back with yet another video. Today, I'm gonna do a video about The Shining that covers possibly a controversial subject. Um, and I'm gonna save it. I'm not gonna tell you right away. Why I'm here for this video today. I'll let it be a surprise at the end. Stick around and you'll see what I've been turning over in my head lately. Before I get started with any of that, I want to do, I want to do my church announcements, and I want to shout out Tankard's new video. So let me get all of that out the way so I can get to work. Returning viewers, thank you for returning. New viewers, thank you for being new. Subscribers, thank you for subscribing. All 611 of you, thank you so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. And all of you, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video if you know anybody who might be interested in this kind of thing. And that's that for the church announcements. And once again, go over to Tankard's channel, check out his latest video. He talks about some ideas that he's been having about what Stanley Kubrick. Well, it's kind of complicated in its own way. He's talking about the differences between inspiration and just flat out stealing ideas. And he covers, you know what, just go over to the video and watch it. I'm not going to tell you what he said. I want you to listen to what he said. I want you to watch the video and see for yourself what Tankard has to say about the subject. It's a very good video. I'm almost done watching it, and I can't wait to think about it and kind of turn it over in my head. Again, he does really good work. He has really good ideas and insights, which is ironically that's the title of his new video, Shining Insights. But he does have very good insights about this movie and other movies and what might be going on. So go and check that out. And while I'm talking about it, if any of any of my regulars have videos or whatever that you would like me to shout out on this channel, let me know and I'll do it. Okay, if I interact with you on a regular basis and I, quote unquote know you or internet know you, I'm very happy to shout out your work, whether it's on YouTube or any other thing that you do. Let me know about it. And I don't have a lot of subscribers, 611, but 611 people will hear about it if I shout it out in a video. So let me know about that. What I'm going to do today is something that kind of just smacked me upside the head as I was thinking about some stuff lately. My latest video is the Project Blue Book video. I don't know how you really feel about that. I haven't had time to really deeply look at my comments. Like I said, a lot of stuff is up in the air for me in my life right now, so I don't know what's going on, and it's kind of complicated, but everything's kind of in limbo. I'm kind of in a holding pattern lately, and it's been doing a number on me mentally. And I don't know if I'll be making a lot of videos or very frequent videos over the summer, or maybe just take some time off because I need to get my head together. Whatever. This year for 2023 has done a number on me, let me tell you. But I'm okay. I'm just ugh. But anyway, let me get into it. Let me get your coffee. Go, just, pause the video right now. Go get your coffee or your lemonade or your iced tea. It is getting hot. Yo. Today in my neck of the woods, it was about 90 or so degrees. And my dumb ass, I went and I exercise every day at the gym. And I went today. I did my my usual exercise. And my God, when I got out of there, it was sweltering, hot, sticky. I got the tower fan out, and I don't have it switched on now because it would interfere with the audio. But my good, it's started. The Southern Californian summer has really started. It's July. What is it now? July 14th. Is today Bastille Day or something like that? But whatever, it is getting hot, and it's gonna get hotter, and I do not anticipate it. The heat always just ruins me every year. Thank goodness I got my little fan now, so I guess I'll be okay. At least in the nighttime when I'm done with everything and I'm settling in and maybe doing one of these videos, I'll cool off. But anyway, go get your coffee, your iced coffee, your hot coffee, your iced tea, your Arnold Palmer's, your soda, your whatever keeps you sane, and settle in. Hopefully you'll enjoy this. I have no idea what I'm about to say in this video. None. I have a general idea, but nothing specific, so ain't no telling. But what I want to start off with is this video that I have reminded myself of the other day, and I wanted to review it again, and I did. This is kind of an old video. This is like several years old, and if you're a shiner, or a shining aficionado, or what have you, you've probably already heard of this video. It's called the Shone Report. As you can see, the Shone Report. It's pretty old video. It's several years old, and it says new discovery in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, the Shone Report. Now, this is the first frame of this video, and I'm going to link to it in my description so you can take a look at it and watch the whole thing for yourself and draw your own conclusions and mull it over, turn it over in your head, like I said, like a grilled cheese sandwich. The first line here is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is not the film you think it is, and I completely agree with that. Now, what's going on in this video? The creator of this video, who I guess the channel is called Shone Fella, and the creator of this video is saying that there are 16 what I think they call markers in the movie The Shining, where while you're watching the movie and you hear the audio or whatever, you can hear kind of a faint sound of somebody. The person, the creator of the video, postulates that it's probably Stanley Kubrick's voice, but somebody's voice saying the word shone in the video 16 times in the first 40 or so minutes. Is it the first 40? I think it's the first 40. But watch the video yourself, because don't quote me on that. But I think it's the first 40 or so minutes of the video. There are 16 times when you can hear somebody saying the word shone in The Shining. And of course I checked, and it's true. You can hear it. You can. And I was watching the movie again. I was reviewing something because I'm still working on Ullman's office. And I heard it. And that's what reminded me of this video. I said, oh my God, they're right. Whoever this person is, whoever made this video, they're right. You could hear it. It sounds kind of like, it sounds weird. It sounds like a whisper, but like if you're not looking for it, if you're not listening for it, you could very easily miss it, or just chalk it up to background noise or what have you. But it does sound like somebody is saying the word shone, and I can't imitate it very well. And again, the conclusions that this person makes regarding what that might mean, I don't know if I totally agree with it, but the fact that this person noticed that and made a video about it is really, really interesting, and I'm intrigued. Okay, as Jack Torrance says during the interview part of the movie, and Ullman says that he has something to tell him about the hotel's history, and Jack says, I'm intrigued. Uh, I am intrigued. Now, Shone, and the person who did this thing, they spell Shone, Shone, as I guess that's the past tense. I'm not a very good grammarian or anything, um, but I guess that's the past tense of the word shine. No, and that's I guess that's their hypothesis that whatever, those 16 times in the movie, in the first 40 or so minutes, I think, when you hear somebody very loudly whisper the word shown, that you're being, something is being illuminated, some kind of knowledge is being transmitted about, I, if, something about the movie that isn't obvious from just watching it and just accepting what you're seeing at the surface level. I don't know. I just don't know. Because to me, I'm kind of postulating, or, I'm just kind of thinking maybe it's not shown, Shone, as the past tense of the word shine, but maybe it's SHOWN, shown. So each of those 16 times when you hear that whisper, the loud whisper of the word shown, that's maybe Stanley saying that he just showed you something that is maybe a key or a legend to the puzzle or the map or the maze or whatever. I don't know. I really don't know. But again, y'all let me know what you think in the comments if you have a chance to watch this video. But this video got me thinking about a lot of things, about the word shine. And like I said, I keep saying in my videos, the word shine, what does it mean to shine? As a verb, is to emit or reflect light. Yeah, and that does have something to do with knowledge of some kind, that I believe Stanley is trying to drop some knowledge on us and have us aware of something, or have us educate ourselves, like I've said before. Now, is it SHONE or SHOWN? I don't know. I tend to think it's maybe more like SHOWN. Stanley showed us something 16 times. Now, in this video, I'm going to go back to the script because it's going to be important for what I'm going to discuss later on in the video. So stay tuned. But I don't know if you all remember. Maybe some of you do, some of you don't. Maybe some of you are relatively new to the channel. A ways back, I did a video. Here it is, this one. I don't know if I'll link to this in the description or just in the suggested video thing, but film analysis, The Shining, symbolism, get your Z's at the Overlook Hotel. And I talked about the Z's at the tops of the columns in the lobby of the Overlook Hotel, and I speculated that those Z's might stand for sleep, or maybe they stand for the letter. I'll cover this in that video, the letter Zayin, okay, in Hebrew, the Hebrew alphabet. And I did a whole thing in that video, in the Get Your Z's video. Where's the thing? Oh, yes, there it is. Film analysis, The Shining, symbolism, Get Your Z's. That was 3 months ago. That was a while ago. So, yeah, I think approximately April I did it. But I went through the whole thing with the letter Zayin, which looks a lot like an X. Okay, so go through that video to see what I had to say about it. And if you recall, in the video, I talked about the letter Z in Hebrew. So it's the equivalent to the English letter Z. Zayin is in Hebrew. And I'm trying to find this again because I haven't revisited this in a while. But the letter Zayin, in gematria, Zayin represents the number 7. Okay, and that's what, like I've said in other videos, like Full Metal Jacket, which I'm gonna do eventually. Ay. But in the barracks scene, you see the number 7 at the top of the column behind Sergeant Hartman. So that to me, that's confirmation that I might very well be right about Z standing for Zayn in the lobby with the columns in The Shining, because we have a number 7 on a column at the top of a column in the barracks in Full Metal Jacket. So, Zayn represents the number 7. It's the 7th letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Um, and what was of particular interest to me when I was doing my little research about the letter Zayin in Hebrew is the use in the Torah scroll. Okay, so Zayin, I'll read this here, it says use in the Torah scroll. In addition to Ayin, I hope I pronounced that correctly. I hope I pronounce all of this correctly because obviously I don't know Hebrew. So I'm trying, y'all. I'm really trying. And if I butcher something, please forgive me. Zayin, in addition to Ayin, Gimel, Tet, Nun, Shin, and Sadi, is one of the 7 letters which receive a special crown called the Tagin when written in the Sefer Torah, the Torah scroll. So the Sefer Torah is a handwritten copy of the Torah, meaning the 5 books of Moses. Okay, and I in the Z's, Get Your Z's video, I went through all of these 7 letters that receive a special crown called a tagin when written in the Sefer Torah. All right. Now, I think that each of these 7 letters receives exactly 3 tagin. All right. It doesn't say that here, but I remember in the other video I researched it, and it turns out like these 7, Ayin, Gimel, Tet, Nun, Shin, and Sadi, all get 3 little decorations. And just to review what's a tagin, here it is. This is what it looks like. 3 tagin on the letter Gimel. I guess this would be the letter Gimel here. This is 3 tagin on the letter Ayin here. Okay, so a tagin is a decoration drawn over some Hebrew letters in the Jewish scrolls of Sifrei Kodesh, Tefillin, and Mezuzot. The Hebrew name for this scribal feature is keter. Both tag and keter mean crown in Aramaic and Hebrew, respectively. Okay, and I'd covered that. Oh yeah, here it is. This is where I got the information. The letters Gimel, Zayin, Tet, Nun, Ayin, Sadi, and Shin, or Sheen, I think it's pronounced Sheen, as far back as Talmudic times, have 3 tags. Okay? That is significant because I think all 7 of these 3 tagin letters, when they're in the Torah scroll, I think Stanley is referring to them in The Shining, and maybe throughout his other movies too. We just have to like open our eyes and really, really look out for that kind of stuff. And I looked up the meanings of all of these letters, these 7, and their position in the alphabet. So Gimel is the 3rd letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it means weapon. Which specifically, what kind of weapon? A staff sling, or a throwing stick, or a spear thrower. The second one, Zayin, is the 7th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which means sword or weapon. Specifically, like I said, when I really, really did like my dig on the letter Zayin, originally it means the word axe, and it looks just like one when it's written out in calligraphy. The 3rd one here is Tet or Teth. It's called the 9th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. That's the spinning wheel or spinning thread. Nun is the 14th letter. It means snake. Ayin means eye, and it is the 16th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Tzadi, it means either papyrus or fishhook, and it might do with hunting as well. That's the 18th letter, Tzadi. And the final one here of these 7 that get specifically 3 tagin on the top of them when they're in the Torah scroll is Shin. That's the 21st letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And Shin, spelled S-H-I-N, what does it mean? It means, here's the Wikipedia page for the, no, that's something else. We're going to talk about that later. Shin, here it is the 21st letter of the Semitic abjads, including Phoenician, Hebrew, Aramaic, Syrian, and Arabic. Its sound value is a voiceless sibilant. Okay. The Phoenician letter gave rise to the Greek sigma, which in turn gave Latin S and Cyrillic S, and the letter Sha in the Glagolitic and Cyrillic scripts. Okay. The South Arabian Ethiopian letter Shaut is also cognate. Now, the letter Shin, what does it mean? Okay. Where's the thing? Here it is. Okay. Origins, right? So here's what it looks like in Egyptian hieroglyph, the Proto-Sinaitic, the Phoenician, and the Paleo-Hebrew. I didn't even know Paleo-Hebrew was a thing. Again, I'm ignorant. I'm learning. So, like I said, Stanley really, really did something great. Really did something great with his movie, specifically with The Shining. You can learn so much about history and culture and linguistics and all kinds of things if you just do it. You just open, and now with the age of the internet, really, you can learn anything you want about anything you want. So you take a movie like The Shining and the things that I believe that Stanley Kubrick has seeded into various parts of the movie, and you get on the Google and you just go and you learn about all kinds of stuff. Here I am learning about the Hebrew alphabet again. But anyway, so in the Egyptian hieroglyph, this is what it looks like, which is odd because to me it didn't look like either of these three over here on the right, the Proto-Sinaitic, the Phoenician, or the Paleo-Hebrew. And then I realized, well, yeah, it kind of does. It's just turned on its side. Okay. The Phoenician, I'm looking for the meaning of the word Shin. So the Phoenician Shin letter expresses the continuance of two Proto-Semitic phonemes and may have been based on a pictogram of a tooth. Okay? Tooth. 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 In modern Hebrew, Shen. Okay. The Encyclopedia Judaica in 1972 records that it originally represented a composite bow. So like a bow and arrow, that kind of bow. Which is wild to me. So, tooth. Really? I mean, it kind of does look like a tooth, but it looks maybe in these Phoenician and Paleo-Hebrew and Proto-Sinaitic versions, to me it looks more, I don't know what to think. I really don't know what to think. It looks like a zigzag line. It looks like a W. But okay, the Egyptian one looks a lot more like a bow, but I don't know what to I mean, okay, so tooth, and in modern Hebrew, I guess they're saying that in Hebrew the word shen means tooth. Okay. But it records that originally the Encyclopedia Judaica records that it originally represented a composite bow. What are the implications? I mean, that's yet another weapon, by the way. Okay, so gimel means weapon, specifically a staff, sling, or a throwing stick. Kind of like what Wendy uses to bop Jack on the head. The baseball bat does that qualify as a throwing stick? Zayin is another weapon, specifically an axe. Ha 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 ha. And then finally, Shin is a tooth or a composite bow, and I saw in other sources possibly also the sun. Possibly. Okay. Now, all 7 of those letters, Gimel, Zayin, Tet, Nun, Ayin, Tzadi, and Shin, could, in my opinion, do have something to do with different aspects of the movie The Shining. Okay. We've got a lot of stuff going on that includes weaponry and conflict and violence in The Shining. But the word Sheen, the word and the letter Sheen, I started thinking about it because of this Shone Report. Okay. And then I remembered, oh, wait a minute. Let me look up that. Is there a Hebrew letter Shin? And I said, yeah, there is. I found, because I covered it once already in the Get Your Z's video. And it's one of those 7 letters that have the 3 tagging on top of it. Okay. What is going on? Is Stanley referring back to never mind what Sneezy the Snowman was doing when he was writing the book, The Shining. Forget him. We are not talking about that man's book. We're talking about Stanley's movie. Okay? Totally different things. Now, is Stanley doing a little play on words, like I talked about in this last one, Project Blue Book, Jung and Wittgenstein, the red book, the black books, the blue, and with Wittgenstein, the blue and the brown books. And Wittgenstein's kind of speciality was linguistics and language games. And I said, is Stanley possibly playing language games? Well, he might even be playing a little double entendre or triple entendre or quadruple entendre. Who knows? Ain't no telling. With just the very title of the movie, The Shining, is maybe, forget about the shining, it's maybe the sheening. Like I think the Hebrew letter Shin is pronounced Sheen, because I looked it up on the Google Translate and I clicked the little thing where the person, the recorded voice, speaks it out loud, and it's they said Sheen. Okay, so it's not the shining, it's the sheening. Oh no! Have I made yet another discovery? Who knows? I give myself so much credit, but you have to, if you don't cheer yourself on, sometimes nobody else will. But so what I also thought was interesting. Okay, this you all might find this quite interesting. So the significance of the letter Shin in Hebrew. Okay, so I'll read this. This is awesome, really awesome. Probably not all of it. There's a lot. I'm not going to worry about the Russian, the Cyrillic script, but I'll read this first part. His significance in gematria. Shin represents the number 300. Okay. The breakdown of its namesake Shin and Yotr and Nun gives the geometrical meaningful number 360, which encompasses the fullness of degrees of circles. Okie dokie. Shin as a prefix commonly used in the Hebrew language carries similar meaning as specificity fairing relative pronouns in English, that, which, and who. When used in this way, it is pronounced like sh and ech. In colloquial Hebrew, kapf and shin together have the meaning of when. This is a contraction of, I can't read that because it's in Hebrew, but I suppose they're translating it here, ka'asher. In parentheses it says as and when. Okay. Shin is also one of the 7 letters which receive special crowns called tagin when written in the Sefer Torah. Like I said, see Gimel, Ayin, Tet, Nun, Zayin, and Tzadi. According to Judges chapter 12, verse 6, the tribe of Ephraim could not differentiate between Shin and Samech when the Gileadites were at war with the Ephraimites. They would ask suspected Ephraimites to say the word Shibboleth, and Ephraimite would say Sibolet, and thus be exposed. From this episode, we get the English word Shibboleth. Really interesting. And I'll cover that in a second. Now, here in Judaism, Shin also stands for the word, and again, if I mispronounce this, please forgive me, Shaddai, Shaddai, a name for God. Because of this, a Kohen, or priest, forms the letter Shin with his hands as he recites the priestly blessing. Okay, you guys are going to love this. In the mid-1960s, actor Leonard Nimoy used a single-handed version of this gesture to create the Vulcan hand salute for his character, Mr. Spock, on Star Trek. Y'all, I love this so much. I mean, what's not to like about Leonard Nimoy? What's not to like about Spock on Star Trek? That is a cultural icon in the United States. Everybody knows who that is. I mean, if you're born and raised in the United States, and probably in many other parts of the world, you know who Mr. Spock is. You just do. And for you, I mean, I never would have guessed that Leonard Nimoy was doing this, like kind of reproducing what they describe here as the priestly blessing that is done by the priest, the Kohen, for the word Shaddai, which is a name for God. The Vulcan hand salute, there it is. I mean, it does look an awful lot like the letter Shin when, when it's written out. I think Leonard Nimoy was trying to save the world too. Okay, that's just my little opinion. I have my reasons for believing that. The letter Shin is often inscribed on the case containing a mezuzah, a scroll of parchment with biblical text on it. Interesting. The text contained in the mezuzah is the Shema Yisrael prayer, which calls the Israelites to love their God with all their heart, soul, and strength. The mezuzah is situated upon all the door frames in a home or establishment. Sometimes the whole word Shaddai will be written. Interesting. I mean, again, why am I talking about this? You might be listening to this video or watching this video, and you might be like, what in the world does this have to do with The Shining? Well, if you're new, thank you for being new, but if you're new, and if you didn't know, Stanley Kubrick was Jewish. He was raised Jewish. I don't know. I have no idea. I cannot confirm whether or not he got bar mitzvahed or whatever. But again, that's really none of my business. But he definitely did grow up in a Jewish home, and I would assume, maybe, possibly. His biography says that his parents weren't really very religious, and that he basically considered himself an atheist as a grown-up. But, like, what are I mean, y'all, if you're Jewish, help me out with this. What are the chances of you being Jewish and being raised as a Jewish kid and not attending Hebrew school? Like, I was raised Catholic. I sure went to catechism. I know I did. And I know, like, Jewish kids go to Hebrew school. Like, Stanley probably went too. And he probably had to learn Hebrew and, read the religious texts and everything. So he was probably very aware of the letter Shin. All right? And again, I'm pretty sure Leonard Nimoy was Jewish too. Okay, where else would he have learned all of this? And the Vulcan salute, now y'all know. If you didn't know already, I didn't know. But the Vulcan salute is based on the letter Shin, and that stands for the word Shaddai. My goodness. Okay? I just, there's, what else here? Did I already read this? Oh yes, here we go. The Shema Israel prayer also commands the Israelites to write God's commandments on their hearts. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 6. The shape of the letter Shin mimics the structure of the human heart. The larger left ventricle, which supplies the full body, and the smaller right ventricle, which supplies the lungs, are positioned like the lines of the letter Shin. This is fascinating, y'all. A religious significance has been applied to the fact that there are 3 valleys that comprise the city of Jerusalem's geography: the valley of Ben Hinnom, Tyropoeon Valley, and Kidron Valley, and that these valleys converge to also form the shape of the letter Shin. This is a very important letter, right? I mean, really. And that the temple in Jerusalem is located where the Dagesh horizontal line is. This is seen as a fulfillment of passages such as Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 2 that instructs Jews to celebrate the Pesach at the place the Lord will choose as a dwelling for his name. Okay. In the Sefer Yetzirah, the letter Shin is king over fire, formed heaven in the universe, hot in the year, and the head in the soul. The 13th century Kabbalistic text Sefer HaTemuna holds that a single letter of unknown pronunciation, held by some to be the four-pronged Shin on one side of the Tefillin box, is missing from the current alphabet. The world's flaws, the book teaches, are related to the absence of this letter, the eventual revelation of which will repair the universe. Y'all, wait a minute, what did I just read? What did I just... Wait, wait. So wait, is the letter Shin basically like the missing puzzle piece that will fix all of the evils of the world? Or part of it, or related, like it says here, the four-pronged Shin on the side of the tefillin box, and the tefillins or phylacteries are a set of small black leather boxes with leather straps containing scrolls of parchment inscribed with verses from the Torah. They're worn by adult Jews during weekday morning prayers. Okay, so now you know what they are. There's a little picture there so you can see. Wait a minute, what is going on? What did I stumble upon? I'm telling you, oh my goodness. From now I'm going to call it the Sheening. Okay? It's no longer the Shining, it's the Sheening. Stanley Kubrick's The Sheening. Leonard Nimoy, the heart, all this stuff is pretty important. And I opened up the page for, where does it say here? The Leonard Nimoy thing. Shaddai. When I saw that, I said, okay, let me look up the word Shaddai. And here it is. It has its own Wikipedia page. El Shaddai, or just Shaddai, is one of the names of God in Israel. El Shaddai is conventionally translated into English as God Almighty, or in Latin, Deus Omnipotens. Arabic, I'm not even going to try. Romanized, Allah Azawajal. But its original meaning is unclear. The translation of El as God or Lord in the Ugaritic and the Canaanite languages is straightforward, as El was the king of the gods in Ugaritic and Canaanite religion. The literal meaning of Shaddai, however, is the subject of debate. The form of the phrase El Shaddai fits the pattern of the divine names in the ancient Near East, exactly as is the case with names like El Olam, El Elyon, and El Betel. As such, El Shaddai can convey several different semantic relations between the two words among them. The deity of a place called Shaddai, a deity possessing the quality of Shaddai, and a deity who is also known by the name Shaddai. Okay, so it's one of the words that has to do with, I guess, just identifying God. Okay, what is going on? Again, I'm not going to go through this whole thing. There's a lot. Shaddai, there's a part here says Shaddai meaning destroyer, which immediately makes me think of the Metallica song Creeping Death. Okay. Y'all go look up the lyrics to that song. It's not just some metal band like talking about getting drunk or what. This is a really interesting song. Go look it up if you've never heard it. You might be surprised. And Leonard Nimoy, that's what really stuck out to me. Leonard Nimoy used this as the Vulcan hand salute. And what does the Vulcan hand salute means? What is it, like live long and prosper? Is that what it is? Again, this is like really kind of touching. And if I'm even remotely close to being kind of right about any of this. Stanley is incorporating these things without being obvious about it. I mean, obviously, he's not being obvious about it. He's not telling you. He's not telling you. Yeah, I'm doing a language game or a word play, like, a la Ludwig Wittgenstein, with the word, for the letter, the Hebrew letter, Shin. No, he's not going to say that, but it might be what's going on. Because, like I said, he's trying to save the world, and so was Leonard Nimoy. And this is one of the ways that they're trying to do this, by using these ideas in this ancient way of thinking, and Judaism in general, or just the Hebrew alphabet in general, and the Kabbalah, and all of this stuff is supposed to help people. Ultimately, it's supposed to help people. I really think Stanley is trying to get us to get off our asses and go to the library, or at least use Google creatively, or archive.org or Open Library or something, and just start looking things up and learn about existence in the world and people and, the evil. He wants us to focus on the evil, because that's the only way we can get rid of it. If first we have to be aware of it, and we have to know the true uh, nucleus of what it is that causes all of the suffering and the problems in this world. Is that what Stanley is trying to teach us about, or get us to teach ourselves about? I really believe that he is. I really believe that he is, and he's using what he knows. As a youngster growing up in a Jewish household, he's using his knowledge of this, probably from, again, possibly from Hebrew school, or just his own study. He was a very big reader. I think I read in his biography, his father was like mad at him because he didn't go to college, because his father knew that he was smart enough to go to college, but Stanley was just like, yeah, forget school. I don't need school. And I guess he kind of didn't. He could educate himself perfectly fine. But, most parents would be disappointed if their kid didn't go to college. But I guess Stanley Kubrick's parents were no exception. But he did pretty okay for somebody who didn't go to college and who graduated high school with like a D average. My God. My goodness. He really didn't care for school at all. So he was a rebel the whole time. And he wanted, his big thing was problem solving. He wanted to teach himself how to solve problems. And that's what he loved about filmmaking, the opportunity to solve problems and do things creatively. So again, I think he's trying to teach us, the viewer, how to do that, and how to educate ourselves and conquer the problems of the world with our minds through education. And if it's a self-guided study, kind of like his was, because he didn't go to college, that's even better. Then you don't have to worry about your teacher's bias being rubbed off on you if it's a self-study, a self-guided study. Now this, Shibboleth, I'll read this to you because this is really cute. And again, it's related to the letter Shin. Okay? So Shibboleth is any custom or tradition, usually a choice of phrasing or even a single word that distinguishes one group of people from another. Shibboleths have been used throughout history in many societies as passwords, simple ways of self-identification, signaling loyalty and affinity, maintaining traditional segregation, or protecting from real or perceived threats. Okay? The term originates from the Hebrew word shibboleth, which means the part of a plant containing grain, such as the head of a stalk of wheat or rye, or less commonly, but arguably more appropriately, flood or torrent. Y'all. I don't know. I just don't know. I keep stumbling upon this stuff. I keep running into this stuff, finding this stuff that I'm not even looking for. What were the odds that the word shibboleth, which is related to the letter Shin, and the word Shin in Hebrew, is also possibly means the word flood or torrent, as in Jack Torrance, the Torrance family in the movie. Lord, Lord, Lord. The modern use derives from an account in the Hebrew Bible in which pronunciation of this word was used to distinguish Ephraimites whose dialect used a differently sounding first consonant. The difference concerns the Hebrew letter Shin, which is now pronounced as sh, as in shu. In the book of Judges, chapter 12, after the inhabitants of Gilead, under the command of Jephthah, inflicted a military defeat upon the invading tribe of Ephraim, the surviving Ephraimites tried to cross the river Jordan back into their home territory, but the Gileadites secured the river's fords to stop them. To identify and kill these Ephraimites, the Gileadites told each suspected survivor to say the word shibboleth. The Ephraimite dialect resulted in a pronunciation that, to Gileadites, sounded like Siboleth. In Judges chapter 12, verses 5 through 6, in the King James Bible, the anecdote appears thus, with the word already in its current English spelling. Okay, you can read this for yourself. But, oh, wait a minute now. Let me read this anyway. Hold on. I just saw something. Okay, so Judges chapter 12, verse 5 through 6. And the Gileadites took the passages of Jordan before the Ephraimites. And it was so that when those Ephraimites which were escaped said, Let me go over, that the men of Gilead said unto them, Art thou an Ephraimite? If he said, Nay, then said they unto him, Say now Shibboleth. And he said, Siboleth, for he could not frame to pronounce it right. Then they took him and slew him at the passages of Jordan, and there fell at that time of the Ephraimites 42,000. Did you all hear me? 42,000. Now, is that 42,000, or is that 2040? Like, help me. I'm not good at like biblical language. Y'all, but 40 and 2. Wait a minute now. Wait, that's a prominent number in this movie, is it not? Is it not? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What is going on? Y'all, help me with it. Is it 42,000 or is it 2040? Let me know. But I felt compelled to read that out loud because I saw the 40 and 2 and I said, uh-oh. So let me know, y'all. So that's the Shibboleth, that El Shaddai, the letter Shin. What is Stanley doing? And again, the word Shin, for the letter Shin, it means either tooth or bow, like a composite bow, or it might also mean the sun. All right. Well, we got a lot going on here. Like I said, is it the shining or is it the sheening? What in the world? And again, they're trying to save the world. Stanley Kubrick, Leonard Nimoy, the Kabbalah. They, yo, what in the world is going on? What in the world is going on? Again, I'm going to leave this for you here. I'm going to, leave the page for Tagin, Zayn, Shin, El Shaddai, and Shibboleth, okay, for you to look at. In your own time, you can study all of these as closely in as much detail as you'd like. Now, I'm going to take a little coffee break of my own, because when you talk for as long as I do, you get dry. So I'm going to go have a little coffee, come back, and we're going to talk about, what the hell? Oh, we're going to talk about Mr. Halloran in relation to like Wittgenstein would call it, language games. So stay tuned. We're not done. I'm going to reward those of you who have stayed with me for this long in the video. So hold on. I'll be right back. Okay, you all, I'm back. And this is where we left off. Okay, so we're in the home stretch of this video. I'm going to talk a little bit about Dick Halloran in The Shining. And this website that you see before you is the Shmoop website for the novel The Shining. Not the movie. No, the novel. And I got interested in the Halloran character. We know about the Halloran character in the movie. We've seen him. We see him in the first part of the movie, and we see him in the last part of the movie. It's almost kind of like that character kind of bookends the movie, like the events and everything we see in the middle of the movie. Halloran bookends all of that. And here's what Shmoop has to say about Dick Halloran in The Shining, specifically in the book, not the movie. I'll read this to you. Halloran is a big hero. He nearly loses his life trying to save a family he's only met once. Why? Because he likes Danny and values him as another person who can shine. In addition to saving Danny and Wendy's lives, Halloran is very important to Danny's future well-being. Until Halloran, Danny's ability had never been verified, explained, or named by anyone he's met. Halloran helps Danny break out of that isolation and proves himself to be Danny's true friend. Even Halloran has a moment of weakness, though. In a last-ditch effort to get Danny, the Overlook tries to turn Halloran against the boy. The hotel convinces Halloran that Danny has betrayed Jack and therefore deserves to die. Halloran fights off the murderous urge, showing his inner strength. He definitely earns big hero points by the end of the book. Now this is the movie here. Halloran, lovingly portrayed by the multi-talented Scatman Crothers in Stanley Kubrick's adaptation, is axed by Jack when he enters the Overlook in the film. In King's film, in King's, I guess they're talking about the miniseries, the utterly fabulous Marvin Van Peebles takes the role and lives to tell about it. Check out what's up with the ending for our thoughts on how the novel and film's endings compare and Halloran's roles in those endings. Okay, so that's what they have to say about Halloran. I'm scrolling down. I'm not seeing anything else. There's not a lot. I mean, there's not a lot. The difference between Halloran in the book and Halloran in the movie is that Halloran dies in the movie, but he doesn't die in the book. And he saves Wendy and Danny in the book. In the movie, he doesn't really, it's implied, or a lot of people just assume that Halloran is there to save Wendy and Danny. But he doesn't get the chance to do that in the movie because Jack kills him with the axe, specifically in the lobby, hiding behind one of those columns with the Z's on top of it, in the lobby of the Overlook, which is interesting. Okay, the axe, again, the Z's at the top of the pillar, Zayn, axe, weapon. You know, something's going on. Something's going on. So I got to thinking about a lot of stuff. And again, this whole thing, everything you're seeing and hearing in this video, was inspired by me revisiting the Shone Report that I that I watched a long time ago. Now, I found another article here that I'll link to all of this stuff that I covered in the description so you can look at it for yourself. Now, this is from Medium, and this is one of the authors on Medium, Chris Paisley, and the title of this is Dick Halloran and the Tragical Negro. Okay, and here's a picture of Halloran from the movie. It says, Dick Halloran, played by Scatman Crothers in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. And this is the part where we, the audience, are led to believe, or we're led to assume, that Danny, while he's having his episode, is like Danny is channeling Halloran, and Halloran and Danny are doing what Halloran describes in the beginning of the movie when he meets Danny. He's the one who defines what the Shining is. Okay, Halloran is the one who defines what Shining is and kind of how it works, but we don't really get, this is the movie I'm talking about, in the movie when Halloran describes the Shining, we don't really get like a reliable definition on what it means to shine, or what the Shining really is, like how it takes place mentally or whatever. And I'll go to that part of the script in a little while. And this article by this individual, Chris Paisley, this is from July 2020, and they're talking about basically whether or not this character is a racist character. Like not the character himself, not Dick Halloran the character, but the people who wrote him. Okay? And this is kind of an interesting article. They talk about the thing about in the movies where, like, is it a cliche at this point? I don't know. But the thing in movies where, like, the black character is it, especially in a horror movie, is the first one to die. And there's actually like a movie out right now, I think, with an all black cast that's called, like, We Can't All Die First. I think that's the title of the movie. Now, this article is talking about that, and it's talking about something that the author of this article calls the magical Negro trope. Okay, so let me read you, like, this paragraph here. It says, then there's Dick Halloran. He's the kindly old cook, played by Scatman Crothers in The Shining. A pause on this specific character is important because I believe he adds an incredibly painful layer to the magical Negro trope. In fact, Dick could be an example of a tragical Negro. He is magical and kind and serves Danny Torrance's story by revealing the Shining and giving Danny someone to shine with. But then he is murdered brutally in the service of another white lead character's story, Jack Torrance. In that case, Halloran's death officially signifies the husband and father's dark turn into an irredeemable murderer. Now, again, this paragraph alone, there's a couple of interesting points here. Now, the magical, what this author calls the magical Negro trope, is, I think this is the definition up here. It says, let's talk about the magical Negro. The magical Negro, described in brilliant detail by storytellers like Spike Lee and Nnedi Okorafor, and many other, essentially paints black, and in many cases indigenous characters as kindly, supportive, subservient figures, only existing in service of the white lead characters in the story. These characters sometimes have magical or technological gifts, are often not fully formed with their own story arcs. They're decidedly not human and communicate an ever-present otherness. This can show up in many ways. Now, does the Halloran character fit into this definition that's put here by the author of this article? I don't know. Possibly. There's, the Halloran character, as we see him in the movie, like, he's one of the characters that is the most difficult to understand. He's much more difficult to understand than Jack, than Wendy, than Danny, because, well, for one, his screen time is limited. He's not in the movie a lot. Like I said, we see him in the beginning, on closing day of the hotel, when the Torrances are being given a tour of the hotel that they're going to be taking care of for the winter. And then he comes back later when presumably Danny communicates with him telepathically and probably communicates to him, we're led to believe that Danny is communicating to Halloran that he's in danger, that his father is slowly losing his mind, or he already lost his mind. It's just now the isolation and whatever has brought all of that out to the surface. Okay. And I guess the author of this article says here that they do a podcast with their friends, and they were discussing The Shining, the movie, and diving into what they love about the movie, while also discussing some of the ways it perpetuates at least one deeply problematic storytelling trope. The quote above came out of Miles's mouth, one of the people on the podcast, and I can't stop thinking about it. It says, he reminds me of my grandfather, this Halloran character. Now, and again, this guy calls the Halloran character the magical Negro, and then also the tragical Negro. What's going on? He's magical and kind. I guess magical because he has this psychic ability, or, some like telepathic communication. He serves Danny, so he's trying to help Danny. He likes Danny because Danny has the same ability that he does, the Shining, and he reveals what the Shining is, and he gives Danny to somebody to shine with. Okay. All right, and then I guess this is the video here. Is the Shining racist? What's going on? And on the podcast, the author somewhat jokingly asked, "Who will cry for Dick Halloran?" It says, if you center on his character, he is treated horribly in this story. No one mourns for him. I did. His death was absolutely senseless, and he's obviously a nice person in the movie. So, but it says no one mourns for him, and all he was trying to do was help. This is particularly challenging when considering that this black man was the only on-screen kill in the entire movie. Yeah, I guess that's true. Like, Jack dies in the end, but we don't see him die. We don't watch him die. We just see the frozen corpse at the end. It's troubling The author here writes, "It's troubling, and as a black man, I can't help but see that. It's a mixture of the black guy in a horror movie trope, you know the one, and the magical Negro." So I guess that's what he means when he says tragical. At the same time, I have to consider this with nuance. Halloran, particularly through Crothers's portrayal of the character, feels real and tangible. He feels fatherly in a way Jack Torrance does not. This feels intentional. Interesting, right? And if that's the case, and it is, like the way Danny talks to, I'm sorry, the way Halloran talks to Danny is completely different from the way that Jack talks to Danny. And that is Stanley Kubrick's doing. Stanley made it look that way as the director of the film. It says here, he's the father Danny needs, rather than the one he has. This transcends race or overused story conventions, in my opinion. It's part of what makes The Shining such a deeply unsettling movie. It makes the film rewatchable, and maybe even more interesting upon rewatch, because knowing that Halloran is trekking towards his death adds to the foreboding that the movie already accomplishes so well. The heroes don't win in this world, not really. Halloran's death is necessary to the story. It's also worth noting that in King's novel, Halloran is not killed, as I already pointed out from the Schmoop website. It's also worth noting that in Kubrick's original vision for this movie, Halloran was not black. Kubrick wanted Slim Pickens to play the role. I don't know who Slim Pickens is. I might have to look that up later. See how that complicates the very simple picture of this storytelling choice. Halloran went from a black character who doesn't die to almost being a white character who does die. But when Crothers was cast, to Kubrick's dismay, oh, wait a minute. To Kubrick's dismay, I didn't know. See, this is more research material. I need to see, like, if that's true, because we have to be careful with The Shining, because already they're saying all kinds of stuff about Shelley Duvall that most of it most likely isn't true, about her being abused by Stanley Kubrick. Again, I have my own ideas about who put all of that out there. You know, Sneezy. But anyway, when Crothers was cast, to Kubrick's dismay, he became a magical black character who does die. Movie making is a tricky beast. Here's the truth. We got what we got. The Shining remains one of my all-time favorite movies. It also contains one of the most tragic characters and one of the most troubling instances of the magical Negro trope. It's hard to watch, but maybe that's needed. Maybe that gives us one more reason to use this movie to talk about filmmaking. And this author is making a lot of very interesting points. Okay? Why did Stanley Kubrick kill off the Halloran character? So he deviated from King's. There's yet another place, in another way, how he deviated from King's novel. Okay? Now, let me do what I said I was going to do. Let me read the part with Danny and Halloran in the kitchen. All right? And I've already kind of talked about this a little bit, where I told you the story about I was showing this movie to a group of people, and when Halloran asks Danny, do they have a picture of it in here? I don't know. I don't think so. Oh, there it is. Okay, I'll focus on that. When Halloran asks Danny what flavor ice cream would he like, and Danny says chocolate. And I asked the group of people I was showing this movie to, I said, why do you think that Danny asks specifically for chocolate ice cream? And one of the people in the group said, well, because Halloran is black. That's why. And I said, come on. I said, that's, I'm not saying that's impossible. But at the time, I was like, but that just seems weird or a little too much. Now I agree with that person who said that in the group that I was showing this movie to. And yes, the person who said that Danny Danny picked chocolate ice cream because Halloran is black. Yes, the person who said that was black. Okay? What does that mean? What is Stanley doing? Why didn't he pick vanilla ice cream, or strawberry, or pistachio, or tutti frutti, or my favorite, moose tracks, or, or like why chocolate? Is it because Halloran is black? I think it is. I think that the person from the group was right when they said that. And then they have their conversation about what they have their conversation about. What is going on? Why do we need to hear all of what we hear in the movie from Halloran during this very kind of one-sided conversation? Because Danny doesn't do a whole lot of talking in this scene. But let me go to the script, like I said I was gonna. And this is right after they're done with the ice cream. And now, Halloran says, or to Danny, he asks Danny, "Do you know how I knew your name was Doc?" Danny doesn't say anything. And then Halloran continues, "You know what I'm talking about, don't you?" And again, Danny doesn't say anything. And then Halloran continues. He says, "I can remember when I was a little boy, my grandmother and I could hold conversations entirely without ever opening our mouths. She called it shining." Mm-hmm. And he continues, "And for a long time I thought it was just the two of us that had the shine to us. Just like you probably thought you was the only one. But there are other folks, though mostly they don't know it or don't believe it. How long have you been able to do it?" And again, Danny just doesn't say anything throughout this. And then Halloran asks him, "Why don't you want to talk about it?" And finally, Danny says something. He says, "I'm not supposed to." And Halloran says, "Who says you ain't supposed to?" And Danny says, "Tony." And Halloran asks Danny, "Who's Tony?" And Danny says, "Tony's the little boy who lives in my mouth." And Halloran says, "Is Tony the one that tells you things?" And Danny says, "Yes." Halloran says, "How does he tell you things?" And Danny says, "It's like I go to sleep, and he shows me things, but when I wake up, I can't remember anything." And Halloran says, "Does your mom and dad know about Tony?" Danny says, "Yes." And then Halloran asks him, "Do they know he tells you things?" And I guess Danny doesn't say anything. And then Halloran goes on. He says, "Has Tony ever told you anything about this place? About the Overlook Hotel?" And Danny's he like thinks for a second in that scene. Then he says, "I don't know." And Halloran says, "Now think real hard, Doc. Think." And Danny said, "Maybe he showed me something." And Halloran says, "Try to think what it was." And Danny refuses to tell Halloran what Tony told him or showed him about the Overlook Hotel. And then Danny, instead of answering the question, he asks Halloran another question. He says, "Mr. Halloran, are you scared of this place?" And Halloran says, "No, I'm scared of nothing here. It's just that, some places are like people. Some shine and some don't. I guess you could say the Overlook Hotel here has something about it that's like shining." And Danny asks him, "Is there something bad here?" And then Halloran takes a pause, and then he says, "Well, Doc, when something happens, it can leave a trace of itself behind. Say, like, someone burns toast." And Halloran keeps going, "Well, maybe things that happen leave other kinds of traces behind. Not things that anyone can notice, but things that people who shine can see. Just like they can see things that haven't happened yet. Well, sometimes they can see things that happened a long time ago. I think a lot of things happen right here in this particular hotel over the years, and not all of them was good." And Danny says, "What about room 237? Okay, 2 times 3 times 7 equals 42. And my question still stands about the shibboleth thing. Anyway, Danny says, what about room 237? And Halloran says, room 237? And Danny says, you're scared of room 237, ain't you? And Danny says, I'm sorry, Halloran says, no, I ain't. And Danny says, Mr. Halloran, what is in room 237? And Halloran says, nothing. There ain't nothing in room 237. But you ain't got no business going in there anyway. So stay out. You understand? Stay out. And that's the end of the conversation. And that's the last time we see Halloran until this scene where Danny, I guess, channels him. Okay? Now, the reason I read you that part is for Halloran's explanation of what the Shining is. Okay? There it is. He says, I can remember when I was a little boy, my grandmother and I could hold conversations entirely without ever opening our mouths. She called it shining. And for a long time, I thought it was just the two of us that had the shine to us. Now, this article and the, I guess, accompanying podcast thing says The Shining. Your favorite movie is racist. It says, is The Shining racist? And I say, to answer this question, is The Shining racist? I say yes. I say yes, but it's not because of Stanley. I don't believe that Stanley is the racist one. I think the racist one is Sneezy. He's the one who wrote the Halloran character originally. Stanley Kubrick was making a movie adaptation of the novel. And he... I think in addition to exposing all kinds of unsavory things about Stephen King, Stanley Kubrick might also have been exposing Stephen King's racism. Why do I believe that? Well, like I said, this Shone Report video got me to thinking. And then I got to Googling. And I looked up the meaning of the word shine. Okay, kind of like I went through all this stuff with Tagin and Zayin and Shin and El Shaddai and Shibboleth and the whole thing. And I went and I looked up the word shine. And now look at what we got here. Okay, this is just from Google. Shine, I said shine meaning, okay? And it says here shine. The verb is the first one. Shine, third person present, shines. Past tense, shone. You know, kind of like the Shone Report, which I don't believe it's shown. I believe it's S-H-O. I don't believe it's S-H-O-N-E. I believe it's S-H-O-W-N. But that's just my opinion. Past participle, shone. Gerund or present participle, shining. Past tense, shined. Past participle, shined. Okay, so here's the first definition of the verb. Of the sun or another source of light, give out a bright light. Kind of like I said, the letter and the word shin in Hebrew might mean tooth or bow originally, but it also might mean the sun. Interesting. So glow or be bright with reflected light. Okay. Of a person's eyes, be bright with emotion. The second definition, direct a flashlight or other light somewhere in order to see something in the dark. So to direct a light source somewhere in order to see something in the dark. Third one, be very talented or perform very well, such as she shines at comedy. Number 4, make an object made of leather, metal, or wood bright by rubbing it, polishing. His shoes were shined to perfection. Now, this other one, the noun, the word shine is a noun. It says here, the first definition, a quality of brightness produced when light is reflected on something, such as in the sentence, my hair has lost its shine. Also, an act of rubbing something to give it a shiny surface, plural noun, shines. Tom's shoes got a quick shine from a boy with a cloth. And here's the second one, offensive and dated. All right, and they didn't even show me this definition right away. I had to click. It says a contemptuous term for a black person. Okay? And yeah, I went down the rabbit hole. I looked up why that would, why they used that term back in the day, way, way back when. Because a noun, to call somebody a shine, was basically, like it says here, a contemptuous term, specifically for a black person, because a lot of black people worked as shoe shiners. So if you called a black person a shine, well, I suppose. I mean, I don't have any way of confirming this because it's hard to find information about it. I don't know why, but it is. I guess it was akin to the way the N-word was also used for a long time, and it still is used in a negative way. So back in the day, it's fallen out of use. Maybe it's just dated or whatever, but the word shine in reference to a black person. And here we have, is the shining racist? Is it? If that's like, I guess, I don't know if it's archaic, but just dated use of the word shine in a derogatory, negative way, as it says here, a contemptuous term for a black person. And this movie happens to be called The Shining. And Halloran, the one who explains what that is, happens, what the term The Shining means in the context of this movie. He's the one who explains what it is. He says that, that's what his grandmother called it. She called it shining. And for a long time, I thought it was just the two of us that had the shine to us. When you put the word the in front of any word, that makes it a noun. Okay? Just like here in this definition, this derogatory definition, it's a noun. The word shine. What the hell is going on? What in the world is going on? Like I said, I think the author of the novel is the racist one. I don't know if he would ever admit to that. He likes to present himself as a very progressively minded person. I just don't believe it, especially now that I've discovered this. And like I said, I believe Stanley Kubrick was trying to expose him in more ways than one. Maybe, maybe even this. And I don't even know. I'm not even sure. Wait a minute. Oh, Lord. I'm not even sure if any of you, I assume that in the novel, Halloran is black, but I can't be sure. I've never read it. And that's why I went looking for this Shmoop entry to see whether or not Halloran is black. Or I thought maybe he might be Native American. Or, or maybe even white, because according to this article, from the Medium article by, I want to give this person their props, Chris Paisley, Stanley Kubrick, I guess, didn't want Scatman Crothers playing Halloran. He wanted somebody who was white. As Slim Pickens, I need to look up who Slim Pickens is. Hold on. Okay, you all. So I looked up Slim Pickens, and he is not black, or he wasn't black. And this is his info, like when you just Google his name here. And then there's the Wikipedia page for Slim Pickens. And here his photo is from a movie here from 1961 called One-Eyed Jacks. Real interesting. So that wasn't his real name. His real name was Lewis. And he lived to be about 64 years old. And he was an actor and a rodeo performer. And he did a lot of cowboy roles, but he is perhaps best remembered today for his comic roles in another Stanley Kubrick movie, Dr. Strangelove, riding the atomic bomb to its target. Really, really interesting. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. But anyway, apparently Kubrick wanted Slim Pickens to play the role. But then when Crothers was cast, so like, did Stanley Kubrick not make that decision? Because this article makes it sound like Stanley Kubrick couldn't cast who he wanted in his own movie, which I find hard to believe. But you know, anything's possible. So what's going on though, is what I want to know. What's going on? What's going on? Is Stanley exposing Stephen King's racism in if the character in the novel is black? And I think he is, because in King's movie or miniseries, he picked somebody named Marvin Van Peebles to do the role. Hold on one sec. And yes, I just checked. Marvin Van Peebles was black. So then, King was in control of the miniseries, so they picked a black actor to play Halloran again. So I guess the character in the novel is black. I'll just go ahead and assume that. Why in the world would that idiot Stephen King write a black character and then have that black character have a psychic or a telepathic ability that is referred to as The Shining, and you do just a little bit of research. All you do is Google the meaning of the word shine, and you find that it is a dated, offensive, dated, contemptuous term for a black person. What the hell is going on here? Now, I don't know if anybody else has ever explored this about this movie, about the title of the book that Stephen King wrote, Sneezy the Snowman. Okay, he wrote the book, and it's called The Shining. And the person who originally brings up the term and the explanation, the definition for the term, The Shining, in the context of this movie is a black man who has that ability, and so did his grandmother. And now Danny has this ability, and the shine in the form of a noun happens to be a dated, offensive term for describing black people. What the hell? I just don't understand. Like, did he think that nobody would notice? Did Stephen King, Sneezy, Dopey, the Snowman, did he think that nobody would notice or nobody would ever find out about this down here, this offensive term? What in the world is going on? What in the world is going on? I can't wait to read your comments about this. I can't wait to just see what you have to say about this. I don't know what's going on. The more I study this movie and the more I research and look around and read stuff and whatever, it doesn't clarify anything for me. All I get is more confused. But that's not going to stop me. I'm going to keep going. So you all, I don't know, think about that, chew on that. I've done what I can do in this video. It's almost an hour and 30 minutes. I hope I've given you something to think about and maybe help you with your own journey if you're looking through all this stuff and thinking about it and what have you. Again, can't wait to see what you have to say in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. I gave it my all. And that's that. So I don't know when's the next time I'll be making a video. It might be a little while. Like I said, I'm pretty tired and I need to take a little break. So we'll see what happens in the future for me. You guys, I appreciate every single last one of you. All, what was it? What did I say? 611 of you subscribers, and anybody watching this video. If you're adding to my view counts, thank you for being here. So I'll just go ahead and reiterate my little church announcements. Returning viewers, thank you for returning. New viewers, thank you for being new. Subscribers, thank you for subscribing. All of you, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video if you enjoyed it, and if you know somebody else who might enjoy it, go ahead. I'd appreciate it very much. Don't forget about the tip jar, and don't forget to leave a comment. I want to read as many of them as I possibly can. I had fun making this. Hope you had fun having your coffee or your cold drink or whatever you enjoy while listening to or watching me do my thing here in this video. So until next time, everybody, until next time, when I find yet another reason to talk at you in one of these videos, I'm going to go ahead and bid you bye-bye. So, bye-bye, everybody.